to our 2024 IEEE 9th International Conference on Engineering, Technology and Applied Sciences, ICETAS. And the title of today's presentation is the Critical Examinations on Employees' Knowledge on Health and Safety Procedures in Engineering Industries in Nigeria and United Kingdom. Now, this paper's ID is 496, paper ID 496. And the authors of this paper are Rafatu Malik, Abdul Wahab Deji, Mohammed Shogi Bashir, Sheros Khan, and Sharifa Musa. Now, this paper is presented, this research work is presented by Prof. Dr. Abdul Wahab Deji. So, without much ado, let's begin. Let's first of all take a look at our presentation outline. We're looking at the introduction, the problem statement, literature review, objectives, methodology, analytical results, result discussion, analysis and outcome, key findings, and significance, impact, and contribution, and recommendations. And then we end with conclusion. Now, let's take a look at the first one, which is introduction. In the introductory part, we look at the overview first. In the overview, the first thing we look at is the significance of the health and safety procedures in the engineering industries, both in Nigeria and in the United Kingdom. Now, the hypothesis, we can overemphasize the hypothesis of health and safety procedures being followed strictly in the construction, in the engineering industry. Most likely, for this research, we lay emphasis on the construction industries in Nigeria and in UK. So 5 companies were conducted in this research, and we have found the relevant applications of safety measures and safety educations in health and safety. So in order to minimize the risk of accidents in working environment, especially in construction engineering industry and the power engineering industries, we have to ensure that there are a lot of training educations and all of this in the working environment. And this has led to the accumulation of this result. So this emphasis on the problem, the accidents, the injuries in the engineering industries, from the practical perspective, from the empirical perspective, has led to a carrying out of this research. So one of the things we did was to do a comparison between the Nigerians and the UK in terms of regulatory enforcement and the employees' awareness. How much awareness do employees have in order to demand for training for the jobs that they've been asked to do in these industries? So we did a comparative analysis in this. Now, here are some of the problems we found in the existing literature. Some of the problems we found in the existing literature that this research work target to solve. Some of the existing problems in literature that this research work is geared to solve. One of the challenges is the difficulty in accurate health and safety procedures. The difficulty in accurate health and safety procedures. So this one is still a mirage in the health and in the construction industries. So we try to harness this. We try to break this one down and try and see how we can fix this by introducing training on demands and training beyond demands. Now, another thing is the existing methods, how it has failed to optimize the high knowledge performance as it affects safety. The existing one, how we've not been able to optimize high knowledge in creating a safe environment for our construction industry. Now, why does this matter? Why do we have to carry out a lot of knowledge training based scenario for the employees in an organization and engineering industry? Why it matters? One of these is that it is very essential for the construction industry operational efficiency, especially in civil engineering. So this undoubtedly will reduce accidents risk and minimize losses and bring out more operational value and more optimizations and efficiency and efficacies of the entire civil engineering industry and structural engineering industry. Now, also, one of the reasons why it matters is that the need for training techniques. Okay, we need to evolve with new training techniques to minimize injury, to minimize accident, to raise the bar of the efficiency, to give a very high level of efficiency in the workplace in engineering industry. Now, here are some of the literatures that we've taken a look at, and we've summarized our first literature 1 to 6 here, the ref or our literature 1 to 6, what we've itemized here is that we'll be able to look at the importance of the knowledge in health and safety training. So the first six literature we reviewed was to look at the knowledge, how the role the knowledge plays in health and safety in our work environment. Okay, and the second case we looked at, if you look at Ref 10 to Ref 18, we've grouped them based on the model we got out of it. If you group them, you see that here we've itemized the previous work on health and safety model, the different models that have been used on the health and safety, as it were, in already reported literature. And then the third state of the research is the limitations of the existing approach in real-world application. And here we summarize literature 19, reference 19 to 22. And here we looked at the existing limitations and how can we fix this limitation to improve safety in our working environment in our engineering industry. Now, here are the key gaps that we have identified. One of it is the lack of comprehensive approach for knowledge in health and safety. A serious lack of comprehensive approach for knowledge. People downplay the importance of training and retraining in order to minimize accident in work environment. Okay, most of the corporation just wants to save money, wants to save cost of training, because sometimes training could be expensive. So they downplay this, and the employee that should demand that it's their right to continuously and constantly evolve with training don't have adequate knowledge to demand for this. So we saw a comprehensive lack of knowledge in this industry in order to improve health and safety in the engineering industry. Another thing was the effectiveness of training in health and safety. Even though the trainings are being carried out in Nigeria and in the United Kingdom, some of these training were not very effective, probably because the employees are not taking it so serious. They feel that is what they know already. Sometimes they feel, oh, we already know this, we already know. They don't take the training serious, or the management of these industries do not prioritize the health and safety of their employees. So the effectiveness is a question that needs to be handled. So that led us to formulating our objective in order to tackle the problems. Now, one of the objectives we've come up with was to assess the employees' knowledge on the health and safety. First of all, assess the knowledge. How much knowledge do employees have in the construction industry, in the power sector? How much knowledge do they have to even understand the dangers of some of the things that they're doing, the risk that is involved, the accident that goes with some of the things that they do? So we assess the knowledge, knowledge of the employees on health and safety. That's the first objective, to assess the knowledge. The second objective for this research was to compare the health and safety training effectiveness between the Nigeria and United Kingdom, okay, engineering industry. So we looked at the construction industries in Nigeria, like Cetraco, Julius Berger. We looked at some of these construction industries in Nigeria, and then we looked at some of the construction industry, especially in the real estate market in the United Kingdom, to see how effective are these training that are being carried out in this regard. Now, here are the methods we've developed after we've set our objective. Here are the methods we've developed to solve the problem. First of all, we did a data collection. Now, in data collections, we did surveys and interviews with employees and managers from 5 engineering companies in Nigeria and UK, from 5 engineering companies in Nigeria and United Kingdom. Okay, so that was the first method for this. The second one was to carry out what we call the tool for analysis. We use the Likert scale responses that we analyze using SPSS software, okay, to carry out this research. Now, here are some of the findings we found. Knowledge factor as it affects the health and safety in civil engineering industry in Nigeria and UK. The importance of training, you see in Nigeria, the importance was downplayed compared to that of UK. The effectiveness of training also in Nigeria was less compared to that of United Kingdom. And the safety incidents in Nigeria was less compared to, because they're carrying out less training and less safety occur in this regard. Then compliance was more in the United Kingdom. They comply with the set forms and rules and regulation of the regulatory body when it comes to prevention of accidents in work environment. So then here is the management, the performance management scheme or system. Now, in the past, we were using the planning, policy, reviewing performance, and investigative accident measuring performance, and all of this methodology. But now we've streamlined it to a quick approach, a four-phase approach, which is called the plan, do, check, act. Plan, do, act, and check method. So now we have what we call the plan, do, act, and check method. So this is the evolution of the training. Now you plan it, you do it, you act, you plan, you act, you do it, and you check. Okay, so this is the evolution of the training as shown from this diagram. Now here are the results. Some of the results we got quickly. We run through a series of interviews and series of in this research we did both qualitative analysis and quantitative analysis. Now in the quantitative analysis we we gave questionnaires and interview on telephone interview with companies in Nigeria and companies in United Kingdom. So you can see these are some of the values of strongly agree for the training based on the summary of the efficacies of training being dependent on mode of delivery. So training be dependent on mode of delivery. These are the results we got in Nigeria and in United Kingdom, both in frequency, in percentile, and cumulative frequency or cumulative percentile. So in Nigeria, you can see the values in the case of Nigeria. In the United Kingdom, these are the values. In the case of Nigeria, these are the values for frequency. And then in the United Kingdom, in case of percentile, we had these values. And in Nigeria, we had these values. And in the cumulative percentile, in UK, we had 33%, Nigeria 41%, and so on and so forth. Here is the graphical for the efficacies of the training as dependent factor on mode of delivery. So if you're looking for the efficiency of training as dependent factor on the mode of delivery. So mode of delivery of training has a lot to do with how efficient the training will be. The mode with which we deliver training has a lot to do with how the outcome of the training. These are the various 5 companies that we have interviewed and we have given questionnaire to. We've got the result. So analysis begin to show the company 5, which are companies in the United Kingdom. Okay, the first 2-3 companies are from Nigeria. The last 2 companies are from United Kingdom. So we see the results showing how efficiency of the training methodology is a big role, or is dependent on the mode or the method we use in carrying out our trainings. You know, we have the physical method, the classroom method, and we have the online methods of training. But today we've recommended from this research that a mixed mode of both the classroom training and the online training methodology should be adopted. A mixed mode, okay? A cut of both mix will be a better system for training. Now, let's take a look at the attributes and the attitudes of worker, how it affects the efficiency or how it influences the efficiency or the efficacy of training. So here we've we've got the results in UK and Nigeria. You can see Nigeria is having a high value when it comes to strongly agree compared to United Kingdom. Because in the case of United Kingdom, people are already accustomed to training. Nigeria is something new to many of them, and so they're able to. The attitude is different. The way they handles it is quite different compared to United Kingdom in terms of frequency, in terms of percentile, and in terms of cumulative percentile. So this is the graphical representation of the outcome of this training. So you can see we're going to discuss the outcome. Now let's take a look at the training method, the first one, which is the training method. In Nigeria and in United Kingdom, on-site workshop in Nigeria is about 70%, and in UK is 85%. Online modules, Nigeria is just 30%. Nigeria is still very far away from the concept of online. In UK, it's 60% as at with the time of this research. Now, the practical simulations, Nigeria is 40%, while UK is 90%. Safety drill, Nigeria is 50%, and UK is 95%. So you can see how UK, United Kingdom, takes training very seriously to minimize accidents in workplace. How UK, United Kingdom, takes training very seriously in order to minimize accidents in the workplace. Or like in the case of Nigeria, many things are still taken for granted. So we hope this research, after publishing this research, a lot of people will get to know and learn that a lot of companies will get to learn that it is in the long run they save more money when they embark on the training of their staff, because to minimize accident and they will not have to pay a lot of compensation to accident victims. This is the training method used in Nigeria and UK when you look at it from the pie chart point of view. Okay, now let's take a look at the key findings, what this research has been able to achieve for us. What the key findings, what this research has actually achieved for us. Okay, now the first one is the comparison of the overall effectiveness of training between Nigeria and UK. So we're able to compare how effective training is in the construction industry in Nigeria and UK, and we focus on the reduction in safety incident. So the whole essence is to reduce accidents in workplace. The whole essence is to reduce accidents in workplace. Okay. Now another finding was that the employees' retentions of knowledge. So from this, a lot of employees' attention were drawn to the fact and the importance and significance and cognizance of knowledge specific knowledge that they need before they embark or disengage in every project that they're given. They need the specific training for such difficult and dangerous tasks before they disembark on these projects. So this is another finding. So we'll be able to find that knowledge is very important. Knowledge is extremely important for employee in order to disembark. Now another one is regulatory compliance, that both the companies, these establishments must comply with the regulatory standard, and the employees have to sit and read the compliance standard so that they're able to, at every point in time, to draw their organizations to this necessary standard if the companies or organizations are not following the necessary standard. Yeah, we also did some comparison. In the case of comparison, we looked at Nigeria and UK. Now in Nigeria, we found out that less frequent inspections is taking place, meaning the regulatory body, they don't even go and inspect these construction industries like Julius Berger, like Cetraco, like CC, ACC, and so on and so forth. So all these construction companies, they're just working. The government agencies that are supposed to be carrying out inspections to see that the standards are being followed are not doing their jobs. There is less frequent inspections. They're not doing that. When you compare this to UK, the reverse is the case. Less rigorous training. They also don't engage in rigorous training. When they give you a job, they bring up new employees. All they do is just to give them a very small scale training, and they expect them to learn on the job. And by so, they increase the chance of accident happening in the workplace. So there's less rigorous training and there's less frequent inspection by the regulatory body that are supposed to, every time, like the Federal Capital Development Authorities and other regulatory agencies for these constructions and development, they're not doing their jobs, so to say. So we need to find a way to improve on our capacities and the people that are manning our case, our ships. Then in the UK, we have frequent inspection. We found out from this research, there are frequent inspection to minimize accident and higher employees' participation. The employees are very willing to learn, to participate. We also found that in Nigeria, whenever there is even training, like some staffs are sent overseas or they're sent for training, they don't participate. They go there, they go and sleep. They don't participate. They don't learn. They go back home more confused than they were in the first place. So all this have to stop. All this have to stop, and to minimize accidents in the engineering industry. And then another comparison of the results, some of the aspects we looked at, the regulatory enforcement in Nigeria and the UK. We said in the case of Nigeria, the regulatory enforcement, they have limited regulatory enforcement due to weaker policies and infrastructure that they don't have, they didn't put in place. In the case of United Kingdom, they have very strong enforcement with frequent inspection and regulatory bodies to check what is going on within the framework of the work. Now, in terms of frequency of safety inspections, inspections in the case of Nigeria, inspections are infrequent. They don't go regularly. In a year, they will go like 1, 2, 3 times maximum, 3 times to inspect these construction industries in Nigeria, which is an absurd. In fact, it's unthinkable. Okay, it's unthinkable. So we need to find a way to improve our collective system in engineering, or to minimize accidents. Okay, we need to find a proactive measure instead of looking for reactive way of solving the accident when it's already happened. There's a saying that okay, let's move on. Now, in the UK, there's always regular proactive safety inspections as scheduled. All these things are there as scheduled. The inspector officers will come when they need to come to check if the companies follow a standard, they're not breaching the law, and they're not cutting costs, they're not rationing people's life, and so on and so forth. Then in the case of looking at the parameter of employees training, in Nigeria we found irregular training, mostly theoretical with fewer practical simulations. Very, very, very not empirical trainings we found in the case of Nigeria. Just theory. People just come and talk to the people, and they say they've carried out training without practical simulation for the people to understand, have a comprehensive understanding of what the risks are, what the dangers are, and what they need to do in order to prevent accidents and dangers. Then in the case of UK, we found a comprehensive training with a mix of theories and practical exercises, including simulation kits, simulation jets, and all of this stuff. Okay. Now, when we look at the parameter of safety compliance, the compliance in Nigeria is often low due to lack of stringent monitoring, because the government monetary or agency do not bother. Then the trainings are not they don't follow the compliance, the standard that the government or the government agencies have set or put in place. Then in the case of UK, we found a very high compliance driven by strict penalty for violations of any of the smallest law, okay, as set by the regulatory board. Then when we look at the parameters of accident reporting in Nigeria, we found that the reporting systems are less developed. There are lots and lots of accidents happening in the construction industry in Nigeria. No one is reporting them. Lots and lots of them are not being reported. So if you look at the parameter of the reportage of the accidents that are happening in construction engineering industry in Nigeria, they're not recorded, they're not reported. And this leads to underreporting of the incidents that are happening in the construction industries. But on the other hand, in UK, we found that they have a very structured reportage mechanism with proper documentations of incident. All incident and accident that happens in the industry are well documented in the United Kingdom. Now, another parameter we looked at is the regulatory enforcement. When looking at the regulatory enforcement, we found that Nigeria has very limited enforcement, weaker policies that are very weak, that are not followed through, and they are not enforced. So all these companies, the India companies, the Chinese companies, the Nepalese companies in Nigeria, they get away with all of this assault. They get away with all of these things because the Nigeria government, they have very weak policies. And the few policies they have, they're not enforcing these policies to improve the performance objectives of a work environment for employees. In UK, we found very strong enforcement and frequent inspections, as it were. Of course, inspection is a way of enforcing the law. But in Nigeria, this inspection is very low, and there is nothing to write home about. Now, we look at the parameters of the frequency of inspection. In Nigeria, it's very infrequent and it's often reactive. Only when there's a problem. When a building collapses, that's when they rush. In Lagos, in 2023, there were lots of building collapse. Okay, in Abuja, there were building collapse, fire outage. It's only when we have this incident, when the accident happens, this is when they switch to action, trying to find a reactive solution instead of a proactive solution to prevent the accident in the first place. To prevent the accident in the first place. Okay, in UK we found a very regular, scheduled and proactive measure to the frequency of inspection. Then in the parameters of employees training, we found Nigeria is very irregular, mostly theoretical. Even when they carry out training, they just talk on they dish the theoretical aspect. They never did the practical and the empirical training. Neither do they even carry out simulations of the real life situations of the dangers in the construction industry. In the case of UK, we found a comprehensive and included practical simulations to bring clarities of purpose for the people that are involved or the employees of the construction engineering industry. Now, in the case of safety compliance, the parameters of compliance, safety compliance, low compliance due to lack of monitoring in Nigeria, very low compliance due to the government not carrying out inspections regularly, and all of these things leads to very poor output and poor compliance mechanism. Now, in the case of UK, we have high compliance because there are strict penalty for defaulters. There are strict penalty for defaulters. Then, in the case of accident reportage, we have other developed system, other reporting common in Nigeria, whereas we don't have that in the UK. Now, the analysis of training effectiveness. Let's take a look at it. On-site safety training, Nigeria on-site 70%, UK 85%, online training 30 in Nigeria, UK 60, practical simulation 40, UK 90, safety drill 50, UK 95%. Now, key observation, the significance, contribution, impact and contribution of this research is that for observation, we found lack of safety knowledge in Nigeria firms. Seriously, there is lack of knowledge in the firms, in the part of the construction industry in Nigeria. Then also on the observation in Nigeria, in the UK, we have regular safety inspection in the UK, construction industries or real estate firms. And then we also have insufficient training method in Nigeria. A lot of insufficient training method in Nigeria. Then the impact, as a result of all this we've discussed, there's higher rate of incident post-training in Nigeria. There's higher rate of incident post-training in Nigeria. It is after the accident they start to carry out training. In the UK, there's a reduced accident frequency, very reduced. And also, we also found in Nigeria low employee retentions of health and safety procedure. So recommendation. Now, these are our recommendation. We are telling the Nigerian government, this research has helped us to understand, and we are telling the Nigerian government and the Nigerian construction industries that they should increase the frequency of safety workshops in Nigeria. In UK, little or nothing, it's good to go. And in Nigeria, we're telling them to introduce practical simulation system. Also in UK, they should continue with the practical simulation system. In Nigeria, we're also telling them to improve the regulatory inspection. So the government agencies should not be idle, like they don't have job. They should move about. They should go about in the construction industry, in the power sector, to see what these industries, the private sectors in these regards are doing and how they're carrying out training and following the strict compliance rules and regulations of the regulatory body. Now let's take a look at our conclusion. Here we've highlighted the main point, right? Now here we talked about the health and safety training that is very much more effective in the United Kingdom due to frequent inspection and frequent training and better training methodology when compared to Nigeria. Nigeria industry needs better regulatory compliance and they need training simulations, practical simulations, empirical training rather than just theoretical simulations. And also with employees' behavior significantly impact the sources of safety training programs. So the employees must have a correct mindset of the trainings are not just meant for you to go and have fun or to go and watch cinema or to a way to get away and travel and go and have fun and be in the big hotels and have good life. That's not what trainings are meant for. Trainings are educational. You have to go learn so that in order to minimize accident in the workplace. So with this, we come to the end of our presentation. Thank you.